a young yet powerful voice in eco-poetry. An award-winning author and environmental advocate, Mania's work intertwines literature with sustainability, inspiring us to use poetry as a tool for change. Her dedication to conservation at such a young age is nothing short of extraordinary. Next, we welcome Parisha Datta to take over.
Author, poet, and environmental advocate who at the age of just 9 has already made a remarkable impact through her creative work and eco-conscious initiatives. Hailing from Bengaluru, Mania has authored 5 books including Once Upon a Time in 2020 and The Water Heroes, the latter being recommended by UN Water. Her poetry, often centered around nature and conservation, has gained recognition for its emotive and powerful messages, touching on themes such as environmental preservation, sustainability, and the challenges of climate change. Mania is also an illustrator and editor at the Sunshine Fortnightly, a digital magazine for children. Her creative endeavors extend beyond literature. She's passionate about sustainability and waste management. Through her innovative work in creating paper from kitchen waste, Mania has initiated a movement to reduce deforestation and promote eco-friendly practices in everyday life. Her unique approach to using vegetable peels to make paper not only addresses the growing issue of waste management, but also highlights the potential for individuals to make a tangible difference in preserving our planet. As a young environmental influencer, Mania's voice is a beacon of hope and action, encouraging others to join her in her mission of restoring the earth through small, conscious efforts. Her profound insights into the connection between art, nature, and activism make her a compelling speaker at any platform, especially a poetry workshop dedicated to the voices of the present. I request Dr. Aishwarya JS, convener of Etheria, the English Forum, to felicitate Ms. Mania Harsha. Thank you.
I'm Anya Harsha, and thank you so much for the wonderful introduction. It was very meaningful, and I haven't done much. I still have a long way to go. So these were really big words for me, and I'm very grateful to be here, and I'm thankful and honored to be standing in front of you today. And probably I'm the youngest here, but poetry has no age, right? And poetry is expression, emotion, and connection with nature or any object you're writing about. And today I would like to take you on a journey into something that is very close to my heart, which is eco-poetry. Now coming to me, I started off my journey through the window of my car. My parents, being passionate travelers, introduced me to the world through our traveling. Through the window of my car, I saw many things which introduced me to the world in a better way. The window of my car wasn't just a frame to look at, but it was a lens through which I got to learn many things and much better. And while traveling, I saw many things about nature. I saw both the sides. The positive side and the negative side. On one hand, nature was blooming, trees standing tall and fields stretching as far as my eye could see. But on the other hand, I could see deforestation, pollution, and cutting down of trees. And in the desert region, I could see children carrying pots on their heads and walking miles in the hot sandy desert to just collect one pot of water. In the snowy mountains, I could see many people walking miles together to find a hand pump which actually works, as everything would freeze in the minus temperatures. This inspired me to pen down whatever I would see, and then later I would convert it into a poem or a story. This led to the publishing of my book, The Nature of Our Future. So this book is a compilation of many of my poems which I had written over a period of time. This was published when I was 9 years old, and it was my first book. So let me share an incident incident with you which led to me publishing this book. So I would like to thank my coordinator from Vipure High School, BPM, which is now known as Golden Bee. She is Mrs. Lakshmi. She is the one who was the driving force who helped me to publish my first book. So during school break times or during free periods, I used to write down poems about anything. It can be the tree outside the window or a building which I could see, or even the blackboard or just the school timings. I used to pen down anything I would feel like and I would go and show it to my teacher. So she would really appreciate me and she would encourage me to recite it in front of the whole class. But I was a bit hesitant to do it because I was scared. If someone didn't like it, what if somebody what if somebody avoids it or they're not paying attention? I was very scared to recite it in front of the whole class. But my teacher told me one thing, that critics will be there wherever you go. They will be telling something about you. But your goal is to overcome those critics, learn from them and move ahead by improving yourself every day. That day I recited one of my poems in front of the whole class, and that moment when the whole class is clapping for you, including your friends, all the students and the teachers, that moment is magical. From that day I believed that nothing is impossible and I started to write down more poems during the class and reciting it to everyone. One day in the PTM, my class teacher, Mrs. Lakshmi, she told my parents that I was writing these kind of poems and I should get it published. My parents were not so aware of my talent of writing poems. So they were a bit confused at first, but when they went through my poems, they were really happy that I was being able to do something like this, and they encouraged me to write more poems and get it published. So with this note, I would like to read you one of my poems, which is the first poem in Nature Our Future. It is called as Nature for Future. This speaks about destruction of nature by man. Here's the poem. Man's greed to discover and explore is provoking him to destroy nature more and more. Once tall trees now overtaken by the tall buildings. Thick layer of grey smoke and the traffic jam looks destroying. I see my Mother Earth is crying. The beautiful flowers dying. The beauty of nature totally fading. The hole in the ozone and the acid rain painting my Mother Earth grey and plain. Long ago the big hills smiled in a green crown. Today are bare and frown. Oh human, remember, you are one of her creation. Now if you do not stop pollution, time's not far, you dig your own cremation. So this is a poem which I wrote long ago, and this was one of the poems I wrote during my travels, and I have been really attached to this poem, and this also led to the naming of my book. So the poem's name is Nature for Future, but the name of my book is Nature Our Future. And I would also like to thank my current school, the Brigade School, for mentoring me and motivating me to become the person I am today. And not only through books, but also I do on set activities. I conduct sessions in government schools to raise awareness about climate change and global warming and how children can help in reducing global warming. Also, I organize solo cleanup drives in many areas such as lakes, rivers or parks. And I also do solo plantation drives in many areas throughout Bengaluru and also seed bombing whenever I travel. Not only that, I also do sapling distribution to police, doctors, traffic police and teachers, and also plantations in schools, which encourages children to be more responsible and take care of the plant. And I do go and often visit those schools again for different sessions, which helps me understand if they are able to understand what I'm trying to say, or if they have implemented something. And when I go to the government schools, I'm very surprised to see that all of them there are already aware of water conservation and how to save the nature, and they give me wonderful answers even though they are only from 2nd or 3rd grade. I was very surprised. And one of my main themes, which I talk about, is children for change. I believe that youth can do anything. Youth is the driving force. They are the present and the future. If they set their mind to do anything, the change will happen. And with that note, I would like to share with you my recent song, which is called Children, the Earth's Defenders, which mainly focuses on children for change and how they can bring a change in the world.
Basically,
पृथ्वी सुंदरता सुरक्षा सार्थकम वन्यजीव रक्षा जल संरक्षणम समृद्धि सदायकम पर्यावरण में संकल्पो हि योग्य प्रतिजीवने पृथ्वी सुंदरता सुरक्षा सार्थकम वन्यजीव रक्षा जल संरक्षणम समृद्धि सदायकम पर्यावरण में संकल्पो हि योग्य प्रतिजीवने Thank you so much for the appreciation. This song is really special to me because it carries a powerful message that reminds us that children are the change. They bring in the change that we want to see in the world. And I would like to know your opinion on the song, how you felt about it, and any line that really attracted you.
It was very pure, you could see the intentions clearly. Quite inspiring.
Thank you. And next up, I would like to share one more thing that my grandmother, my late grandmother, was one of my biggest inspirations. She was a person who led a very sustainable life. She believed in giving back to the earth, recycling, and reducing. She was the person who made me aware of reducing, recycling, and refusing plastic. And she used to recite me stories about the nature and how she spent her childhood in nature. We used to sit out in the front yard and talk about it the whole day, which was very insightful. And as a tribute after her demise, I started my project, Grandma's Green Weave, which is still ongoing. I recycled my grandmother's old saris into sustainable cloth bags, which I had seen her doing when I was a child. I get them stitched into cloth bags and distributed to street vendors, such as fruit vendors, vegetable vendors, which helps in cutting down the use of single-use plastic, which is widely used in the markets. And in the second phase, I started to start these campaigns in the apartments. And in the apartments, I started the slogan, Donate a Sari and Carry a Bag, where we collected old saris from various apartments around JP Nagar and Bangalore, and we got them again repurposed into cloth bags and we distributed it. Till now, I have distributed around 12,000 cloth bags and around 5,000 newspaper bags, which I have made by myself to the street vendors. And this was a tribute to my late grandmother, who is the reason I am the person I am today. Now, before we begin, I want to ask you something. Since we are all here together today because we have a common interest, which is eco-poetry, so I would like to know what you think. What is the first thing that comes up to your mind when you hear the word eco-poetry?
Nature.
Nature? Yeah. Anything else? Okay. So, eco-poetry isn't about writing pretty words about trees and rivers, but it is about a feeling that connects us with nature. It isn't just about penning down what you see, it is about emotions. Eco-poetry isn't always like serious. It can be playful, it can be emotional and powerful. Eco-poetry can bring in real change in the world. Eco-poetry is also used in various protests and climate awareness campaigns, which brings in a lot of change, as poetry has a lot of power in its words. So, it's poetry that explores the relationship between man and nature. It is the single element that connects us with nature. So, has anyone here started to write eco-poetry or any kind of poetry? That's nice. So, would you like to share what inspired you to start writing?
See this verse and this any problem that seems to, take you over, the moment you see the sky, it just feels redundant.
Yes. That's beautiful. Anyone else? So there are different types of eco-poetry. So there are three types. One which speaks about the destruction of nature. The second one which speaks about personal connection with nature. This poetry kind of does personification of different elements of nature and kind of relates it with the daily things which occur in our life. And the third one is poetry which praises nature. So I will kind of read out three extracts from three different poems, and I would like you to tell me which one belongs to which category. So the first one is from Kalidasa from Meghaduta. It reads, "The cool breeze from the mountain top, carrying the fragrance of blooming jasmine, whispers softly to the weary traveler a melody of peace and rest." So Kalidasa is one of India's greatest poets. He often wrote about the beauty of nature And this excerpt paints a soothing imagery of nature in our minds. The second one is by Rabindranath Tagore. Weep, O earth, like a mother bereaved, for the trees that have fallen, the rivers that grieve. Smoke chokes the sky where the stars used to gleam, and the song of the wind is no longer serene. This poem captures the pain of the environment and the loss, giving a strong emotional impact. The third one is very close to my heart since I have learned this poem in Standard 9. This is by Robert Frost. This is a small extract from the poem. Two roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry I could not travel both. And be one traveller long I stood, and looked down one as far as I could. This poem uses the yellow wood as a metaphor, and the two roads are different choices in our life, which we have to choose one. And it also tells the meaning that life goes on, and it's very unlikely to come back to the point where you started from. So I would like to know if you could make out that which one was which category of poem.
Second one was about destruction. Yes. The rest about personification.
First one?
Personification?
No.
Robert Frost is personification.
Yes. And the first one spoke about praising nature. See how different styles of poem create different emotions in us. Eco poetry, as I already told you, shouldn't always be subtle. It can bring a real change in the world. So I have a little activity for you all. So I would like you to take any element from nature. It can just be a fallen leaf, it can be a river, it can be a grain of sand, just anything. I would like you to make a metaphor out of it. For example, the river is a storyteller who whispers old secrets to the rocks. Something like this, I would like you to create something, and please share it with everyone. Though she rises tall and high, like success reaching the sky, her roots grounded to earth in mind, always helpful, humble and kind. She happily spreads the joy of shelter of food under her canopy. With her widespread hands, she invites life to flourish on her. Always surrounded by the smiles of flora and fauna, least did she know, the man whom she nurtured all the while would chop her into pieces and make a pile. Even after being brutally butchered to death, her generosity misused to flaunt a luxurious lifestyle. So this poem speaks about how nature gives us everything, but in return we do not give nature back something happy. We do not take the effort to plant trees, which gives back to the nature. When it comes to taking from nature, we take fruits, we take vegetables, we take wood from her, but while giving back, we do not even think about it. So as I told you that poetry is also being used in climate protests. So here's one extract from the poem Earth Life, which was written by Amanda Gorman. We are demonstrating, creating, advocating. We heed this inconvenient truth because we need to be anything but lenient with the future of our youth. This poem might be short and have only 4 lines, but each line has a huge meaning behind it. So what happened? In 2021, the poet Amanda Gorman wrote Earthrise, a poem about climate change, and this was performed in the United Nations Climate Summit. Her words inspired young activists and were widely shared across climate movements. Here's another American proverb that really has a huge meaning behind it, even though it has very simple words. This is a Cree Native American proverb. Only when the last tree has died, and the last river has been poisoned, and the last fish has been caught, will we realize we cannot eat money. It is a powerful warning about destruction of natural resources and the consequences of greed. It has been widely used in environmental activism. So I have another small activity for you all. So I have 4 words, and you can make use of these 4 words and create a short poem. It can be only 4 lines or 2 lines. It doesn't matter, but what matters is your feeling behind it. It's very easy. All you need to do is have a small feeling, and with that feel, you can put in your words and describe the situation the way you want to describe it. So the words are green, roots, dance, and whisper. With these 4 words, I would like you to create a poem. If not a poem, it can just be a sentence which uses these 4 words, which are whisper, green, roots, and dance. It can be either a metaphor or a poem or just a simple sentence which uses these 4 words. Once you're ready, you can please share your answer with the whole auditorium. The words are:
the green fades to autumn as the melancholy song of green dances away. Roots of withering future whisper in our ear. I loved you, I always knew. But every time you touched me, you left claw marks on me.
wow, that's beautiful. That's a very creative way to put in all the words together, and it was very melodious, and I loved it. Is anyone else ready? Yes, please.
The wind's whispers dance to the rhythm of the ebullient waterfalls, their echoes sinking into the rooted depths of the green canopy in the forest.
Wow, that was so beautiful. Even though short, it had a huge meaning behind it, and the main thing about poetry is that all you need is a small feeling that makes you write, which inspires you and motivates you to pen down everything you think. And we heard 2 beautiful poems today, and it was beautifully written by each of you, and a huge round of applause for everyone who participated. So, speaking about literature, I am the author of 7 nature-themed books, out of which 4 are written in English and 3 are written in Kannada. So to write in Kannada, again, my grandmother was a huge inspiration for me. She was the person who taught me to write and read in Kannada, and as a tribute to her, I have written in Kannada. So as I've already told you, this is my first book, Nature Our Future, which was published in 2018. This is not just a poem book based on nature. It has all kinds of poems. It can be about a superhero or lemonade or just even a watermelon. So this is everything I had written, I think when I was 7 to 9 years old. So this is a compilation of all my poems. The second book is The Water Heroes. So this book focuses on how children can help in conserving water. And the same book is in Kannada, which is Neerina Putani Samrakshakaru. So again, it's the same book but in Kannada, and this book was published in 2020. My next book was Once Upon a Time in 2020, The Lockdown Diaries. I was deeply inspired by how the nature was flourishing during the lockdown, and I observed everything around in my surroundings which was going on, maybe outside my window or the news, and I penned down everything that I saw into a form of a story. And here, this is Vandanondu Kaladalli 2020 Lockdown Nenapugalu. So this is in Kannada, and this book speaks about how humans suffered away from their loved ones and how nature flourished during the lockdown. And my latest book is The Rise of the Eco-Heroes. And this is a book which talks about how different age groups can kind of contribute to the nature. This speaks about how a small child, a middle-aged man, or even an old woman can contribute and do something back for the nature. The same book is in Kannada, which is called Parisara Yodaru. And all these books have something in common, which is children. So I mostly focus on the youth, and I write books in a way that is relatable, that each one of us can relate to. Like each one of us would have thought of recycling something or would have actually done recycling. or we all would have thought of reusing things, or we might be reusing it right now. And all these books have something which you read. When you read through these books, you will realize that at least one of the incidents which are written in the book have happened to you or you have experienced. And also another thing I would like to say is that to write poetry, we need to have some kind of reference. And if you're interested in writing poetry, the best thing to do is to read through different books of different genres, of different authors and poets, because reading improves the knowledge, and by reading we will be able to get inspired from certain texts or certain poets and their writing style, or maybe just their use of words, and which will help us write a poem. And so today, when you step out, you can observe anything. It can be a fallen leaf, it can be a bird, or just a cold wind, a cold breeze that brushes through your face. And you can write down about it. If it makes you feel something, if it makes you feel to write down something, if it gives you positivity, do write it down. Because what you write down stays with you forever in your mind as a positive emotion which you will never forget about nature. It kind of strengthens your bond with nature, which further helps you to connect much better and write much better. So words have power. They make people feel. And when people feel, they act. And we as writers, readers, or even thinkers, we have that power to make people feel. We can, with our words, our speech, and of course our writing, can inspire people in many ways. So I have a few riddles for you all, and I would like to see if you can answer these riddles. So each of these riddles are in a poetic form, which are of course related to nature. So the first one is, I stand tall and strong, but when I'm cut, I weep. Who am I? Trees. Yes, it is trees. I sing without a voice, I dance without legs, I touch without hands. What am I? Yes. I'm a giant mirror reflecting the sky, but when I'm gone, creatures cry. Who am I? Yes, it can be any water source. I rise and fall, but never sleep. Fishermen love me and surfers seek. What am I?
Waves.
Yes. I have hands but never clap. I have rings but no fingers. I stand but never walk. Who am I? Yes. So trees have hands which are branches, and rings which are the growth rings. When you cut the bark of the tree, you see different rings which show the growth of the tree gradually, the sufferings of the tree, the scars of the tree, and it stands still and does not move. I glow in the dark, yet am not a star. I flutter and dance, seen from afar. What am I? Yes. I stretch across the sky after the rain, made of colors but never plain. What am I?
Rainbow.
Yes. I whisper in rustling leaves. I roar in the stormy seas. What am I? Yes, it's wind. I live in the jungle. I am the king. But without my home, I cannot do a thing. Who am I?
Lion.
Yes. I start small and float with ease, but I can grow and block the seas. Who am I? I start small and float with ease, but I can grow and block the seas. This is often something that we ignore when we go to maybe a lake or maybe an ocean. We see this in a huge number, but we never care to actually think about it and how we can remove it from there.
Plastic.
Yes, a plastic bottle, a plastic cup, or just any plastic waste. So I hope we did learn something today in this workshop, and I hope that you all will start to write down your eco poetry, and I would love to hear some of them in the future. So thank you so much for giving me this opportunity, and I'm open to any questions if any.
Yours, please.
Sure. It's very rare that I don't really write poems in Kannada because it's a bit tough to write down. But I'll just try to see if I've written any.
Anything.
Sure. This is the first chapter. So this is about an old woman named Rangamacchi. ವಿಶಾಲ ಭಾರತದ ಭೂಪಟದೊಳಗೆ ಒಂದು ಕುಗ್ರಾಮದಲ್ಲಿ ರಂಗಮ್ಮ ಎಂಬ 60 ವರ್ಷದ ಮಹಿಳೆ ತನ್ನ ಪತಿಯೊಂದಿಗೆ ವಾಸಿಸುತ್ತಿದ್ದಳು. So this is a story of Rangamajji and Siddappa. Siddappa was very ill, but Rangamajji had the whole responsibility of the family. They did not have kids, so they had to earn for the day themselves. So this story is about Rangamacchi. She was a rag picker. So she used to repurpose old bottle caps or just old sheets of plastic into new things, and she used to display it in front of her house. So one day what happened in the story that this site was caught by a media reporter, and he was very inspired by her work, and eventually he decided to interview her and bring her into spotlight because of the work she was doing at such a condition and at such a old age. She was actually trying to recycle things, and she wasn't selling it, she wasn't just trying to do it for fame. This was genuine love for nature, which was in her, which eventually led to her being in spotlight and leading to fame. So this is a small story. I have summed it up in very few words. So this is one of the stories in my book, and there are two other stories which throw spotlight on two different characters. So I would really encourage you to read a few of my books, as they have many things which are relatable in life. Thank you so much.
Feedback would be
10 years down the lane and everything, you always have something that strikes you, right? Be nature, like any other thing. And then you feel like, you know what, I'm going to grow up and do it. But you're one person who did it while you were a kid. So I think that was my biggest takeaway here. And just keep going. You have so much more to do. So thank you for this wonderful workshop.
Thank you so much. Your response really made my day. May I know your name, please?
Afifa.
Thank you so much.
Great the way you've taken initiative at such a young age, change maker like you. Like when kids still try finding what's their path, by that time you've become a role model to many of the people. So it just proves that age doesn't really matter. And when everyone is focusing what is future, you really know what is future actually is. And talking about ecosystem, ecological workshops or drives, I think it's an immense step that you have taken, and you getting inspired from nature, your grandmother, and you converting your emotion as a healthy coping strategies to work out, and it is also productive to the earth at the same time. I think that's an immense step and strategy.
Thank you so much.
And you reflecting your thoughts in a positive way shows how good your mental health is. I'm a campus counselor here. So it shows about your healthy boundaries with nature. It talks about your resilience towards the ecosystem that other humans are destroying, and you want to develop and resource it in a greater way. So it's a great initiative, great step, and all the best for your future.
Thank you so much.
I'm sure all the participants enjoyed your session. We are really grateful that you accepted our invitation to be part of this workshop. Thank you so much. We wish you a very bright future and hope to have many more such collaborations. Once again, congratulations and thank you.
Yes, ma'am. It's wonderful to hear from you.
In a world of wonder where rivers flow, children rise up, let their voices show.